Hello, everybody. How are you? This is my first live broadcast on YouTube, and it took me forever to get this thing set up. I'm not even at my regular desk at all. I have somebody visiting from our family that I should look up here. I have somebody visiting from my family, instead of looking at me, that is busy on the official work desk of the home office and kind of getting his work done. And I didn't realize that he had been here in the rush to kind of get everything ready by 9:30-ish Central Time. So what you're seeing here probably is going to be a recorded version of the end result of me kind of getting everything together and essentially recording, for the most part, in my giant media room here at the home offices in Irving, Texas. So you'll pardon me for any slip-ups, mistakes, tangents that I may go on. But essentially, and this entire broadcast is meant to supplement the global virtual design sprint that's happening in April. Throughout the month of February, I'll be broadcasting and recording these sessions to explain the basics of a design sprint for those that know about design sprints, how to make the most of them, how to pick the right challenge, all sorts of topics. I'm hoping that I'll get a lot of comments from all of you on what kind of topics you'd like to see. So be sure to leave some comments down below. I hope I'm going to be pointing in the right direction down below. And let me know what you want to hear in future live broadcasts. So before I get started, maybe it's good to introduce who I am so I don't look like a complete stranger in just front of a camera. So my name is Robert Scrode. I am the voice behind the Dallas Design Sprints podcast, and in effect, I am Dallas Design Sprints. I run a small little shop, or a shop of one with many associates, in helping businesses do three things. Well, actually, I'll take that back. I help businesses with one particular thing, and that's create design teams in their companies that utilize the design sprint process, but also come from wide and varied backgrounds to get the most effective results for your company. The other thing I really like to do is professional development. So I'm very much into meeting designers, developers, researchers, architects, business owners, marketers, pretty much everyone from every walk of life, not only getting their perspective, but trying to help where I can. I've always been interested in how other people think and how they live their lives professionally. So I've made it a part of making a living in finding out what they're all about. So if you ever encounter me, I do have that kind of approach where I want to know more about you than I want to tell you about me. Not because I'm embarrassed about myself or I'm hideously boring. I just want to know more about you professionally. So again, there's that tangent I was talking about. For today's recording or for today's live broadcast, the first topic I'll get out the door really fast and right away is a very simple explanation of a design sprint. Now, for the most part, design sprints, more or less, depending on who you talk to, they'll go, oh, that's nice. Or like when someone did my hair last week, they were going, yeah, that sounds really good. But there would be no follow-up because they're concentrating on cutting my hair. But usually that phrase doesn't track with most people outside of the design world. So what I attempted to do just a couple of days ago was, and I published this, is to give a really quick explanation on the design sprint process. So if you'll see, I'll be kind of reading from the story, but expounding on some of the things I brought up in the article. So if you want to approach a design sprint in very basic terms, the one thing that I can communicate right off the bat is that usually it is a process, but it brings together a lot of people in your workplace or otherwise to solve a problem, work out an idea, or explore something risky that might have a huge payoff. That last part in particular is very important because what I find most people miss is that they have a big idea or a challenge or something really out there that they really want to test, but either they don't have domain knowledge or they don't know the right people, or they just don't have the money and resources to make it happen. Design sprints of all sorts of different lengths can take those ideas and challenges and really make them substantial, or put you in a place where you're going to learn a lot about what you're interested in. You may not necessarily get to the end of the week with the most amazing prototype you've ever seen, but you will learn. You'll get perspective, you'll meet domain experts. There's a lot of advantages to it. It's something that normally requires a lot of time to make. Whatever you're doing, a project and what have you, it usually addresses that, and it does it faster. So say if you have a 3-month project, typically anywhere from 3 to 6 months for a software project that you're doing or that you're involved with, or you're producing a product, you might only take a week to validate whether or not it's a good idea or to even go further with it. So in essence, it saves a lot of time for a lot of different people. You can take meetings off the calendar, condense them out, all the side conversations that may happen as part of the project that you're working on. And time flies by when you're just basically going through the day-to-day. But if you take a design sprint process of some length and kind of condense everything down and bring all the important people together and the project people together to socialize and talk about what you're going to be working on, it's a lot more, I would say it's a much more efficient way of going about your professional workday, and it condenses a lot of those side conversations into a single week or maybe even less. So definitely saves you a lot of time. So you can work on risky ideas with huge payoffs. You can condense the amount of time that you work on something, but also, and this sometimes gets lost, especially for people that are just reading about design sprints, they're highly customizable. In essence, the original ones, the original one that, or I wouldn't say original, but the one that was popularized by Jake Knapp in his sprint book is catered towards product development and product design and fashioning all of those activities around a small startup. But since that time, since about 2-3 years ago, since that's been out, the design sprint process can be customized for the people you have involved. You can approach strategy, research, branding, product development, growth, process, new tech ideas, anything with a design sprint, and you can customize it for length, activity, and outcome. And there are plenty of stories on the web if you just do a Google search, and it'll tell you all the different examples that are out there. And I think the most important thing that a design sprint process does, and this is something that sometimes gets lost, is that it gets everyone on the same page about what they're doing and why. Many companies are plagued with lack of alignment, shared understanding, of the project objectives, and sometimes the inability of anybody within the company to make a decision of some type. Overall, it's a huge waste of energy, time, money. It's really inefficient. But a design sprint process brings everyone together for a shared directive. It fosters a sense of camaraderie. It gives a sense of purpose with team members. If it's properly structured and planned, it has an amazing effect at instilling empathy with those other disciplines that you work with on a regular basis. Most of the time, we just look at things from a perspective of outputs. What is this department going to give me? What am I going to get from design if I'm a developer? What am I going to get from the project team if I'm a product owner and I need these things by a certain deadline? You kind of frame things in their lowest common denominators. But a design sprint process flips that a bit, and you start to get the perspective of the people that are working with in more nuanced terms, more elaborate terms, at a broader depth. So I always encourage that from the perspective of getting that base understanding and really understanding where people are coming from when it comes to doing the work that you're going to be doing. If you want to learn more about design sprints beyond simple explanations like it saves you time, you work on big things, and you get a sense of communication, you really get a really good ground for your team to work on, like a real good base. There's plenty of books out there, plenty of articles online to read. The ones I recommend are Richard Banfield and Tal Lombardo's book on design sprints. It's a black cover. That one is probably more aligned with my own thinking about how you can mix and match different activities depending on what you want to do. I was inspired to take examples from that book and add it to my own process on design sprints. And it really helped me not only socialize them, but customize them for, I only have 1 day, or I only have 2 days, or I can only get my manager in for 2 hours. What can you do with that? You may not get the results you want if you have less time, but needless to say, you can customize the process, and that book's really good at explaining how. The popularized book by Jake Knapp is perfect for product development. I think it applies a very efficient, elegant approach to the process. AJ and Smart offer plenty of updated material on the process. Their YouTube channel has got tons of playlists depending on what you're after. There's some clever and innovative activity hacks to save time and speed things along on that channel that you can look at. I personally have referenced it multiple times in the past to kind of take some of the more challenging aspects of, say, discovery on Monday and really refine them so that there's less discussion and more action and more execution. I highly recommend them. They've done a lot of innovative work in the space. So I also want to leave you with a couple of things, a couple of comments that were left on LinkedIn about what people have said about the design sprint process and how they explain it. Because this is just me, but I always like getting perspective from other people in the field that look at things differently. For example, okay, I'll stop that. A friend of mine over in Taiwan, his name's Juggernaut. won't try to pronounce his real name because I think I slaughtered it when I did a podcast with him before. His explanation, he goes, the design sprint is a 1-week brainstorming, prototype, feedback workshop to design how to solve some big problems for actual implementation. That's better. I'd say ranking with what I just described, probably it's a bit ahead. But if you really want to take the cake, the one that I thought was ingenious in its description, you have to look at Lisa Mo Wagner. She's a product strategist. And her extremely short version is that it's a workshop. It is a workshop method that allows you to take a sneak peek into the future. You go from problem to one possible solution and test it with real people in 3 to 5 days. Yeah, that sounds right. The sprint team makes this a truly cross-functional and highly collaborative experience. Specific activities lead you quickly through the process and remove biases and groupthink. We have a winner. I can shut down I can shut down the live stream. That pretty much did everything and explained everything that I could. But again, that's a case example of how I value comments and perspectives. So if after watching this, if you're still watching this, really inform what I'm doing here, make suggestions on future content, give your own idea or your own explanation of what you think the design sprint process is. I'd love to hear from you. And that's it. So thanks for watching. And again, we'll be doing this every day in the month of February. And I hope this is good. I don't know. I'm talking to in a room by myself, so I'm just assuming that everything's going well. So if it is, let me know in the comments. If it isn't, then get on my case in the comments. I don't care. I want to hear it. All right? In fact, I better figure out, since I'm doing live streaming now, if anyone's looking at this. I don't think there is. No, there isn't. Good. You hear my recording later on. Or maybe I'll find out that the microphone didn't work at all, and all I'm doing is going ha la 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 la. I have no idea. This is all experimentation. I'm off to Facebook and to do this again. So this is like round 1. I'm going to do round 2 on Facebook to see what happens, okay? Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Hope to see you tomorrow. I got to click on the end stream button. Bye.